Hello and welcome to the Fandom Academy podcast. This is your host today, Rich, flying solo. No Kyle, no Dan, it is just me today. Today I have a list for you, another movie recommendation list, another list of underseen, underappreciated, underrated movies. Movies that I've seen, but I know that a lot of people didn't see. Movies that flew under the radar for one reason or another, but I think people should watch. So we did one not long ago that was a little bit more horror Halloween themed. Had some other movies in there, some other genres. This time it's a little less horror, a little bit more of a balance. We have some comedy, some different type of dramas in there, a little bit of horror, kind of try to cover all the spectrum. So hopefully in this list there's a little something for everybody. Before we get to the list, let's promote a few things. First, reminder, you can find the Fandom Academy podcast on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also find our podcast on all the podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. Kyle is also now going to be making more of a push to have our podcasts with some visuals on YouTube. So hopefully soon you'll be able to see those. Also a reminder, you can check out our website, fandomacademy.com. Dan is very prolific with his blogs and reviews on there. Kyle writes some stuff too, me not so much. Also, you can buy some of our stuff. So that's us. Look for us, Google us, you can find us. So let's get to the list. I'll do my best to try to not give too many plot spoilers or any plot spoilers, but just enough of a plot synopsis about these movies to entice you. A few recommendations for you. I'm going to do my best to let you know where you can find these movies if I know if they're streaming somewhere. But what I've discovered is if you just Google these movies, Google is very informative. It'll let you know review scores at different websites, and it also lets you know if some of these are playing on certain streaming services like Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix. So it does give you a little bit of a list. So just Google some of these movies if I don't let you know where they're playing, and you'll find them yourself. Okay, let's get started. First movie out of the gate is a movie called Brick from 2005. This is a really unique movie. It's not for everybody. I'll say that right off the bat. It's sort of a noir mystery drama set in a high school. So it's kind of a throwback to those old noir mysteries, but it does sort of what we do with a lot of the Shakespeare movies where, like Romeo and Juliet, Leonardo DiCaprio's version was set in high school and modern day. This does the same thing. It takes crime mystery drama and sets it in the world of high schools. And it's really interesting. It's a Rian Johnson movie, the very polarizing director who directed The Last Jedi and is directing Knives Out, which is coming out soon around Thanksgiving. It's a Joseph Gordon-Levitt starring movie. This is one of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's best movies. It's when he was transitioning from child actor, Third Rock from the Sun, into serious adult actor. And it was really one that let a lot of people know. He did a few independent movies around this time when he was in his late teens, early 20s, and making that adult transition. And this was one that was critically praised and sort of launched him into more serious acting fare. I do think it's on Netflix. It's a really good movie. I can't even explain the plot except to say that it's a noir mystery drama set in high school. That is going to be for some people, not for everyone, but it's worth checking out. You're either going to love it, hate it, or appreciate it. So that's my first recommendation. My next recommendation comes from 2017, a few years ago, a couple of years ago. It's a movie called All Nighter. It's a buddy comedy with a little bit of rom-com thrown in there. And it stars Oscar winner J.K. Simmons and Emile Hirsch. Basic plot of this one is pretty simple. It's about a father played by J.K. Simmons and an ex-boyfriend played by Emile Hirsch that are looking for J.K. Simmons's missing daughter. So his daughter goes missing. He goes to the ex-boyfriend, Emile Hirsch, say, hey, where's my daughter? And then these two go on a little bit of an adventure looking for his daughter and his ex-girlfriend. It's not a stellar movie. It's not an all-time classic, but it's a light, funny, just enjoyable enough movie with good chemistry between these really good actors. Two of my favorite actors. I find that Emile Hirsch ends up on a lot of my underrated lists because he's in movies that not everybody sees, but he's an excellent actor. And J.K. Simmons, we all love. These two have good chemistry. It's solid enough comedy. I liked it when I saw it. Set your expectations low with this one. Check your brain at the door. You'll enjoy it. All-nighter, 2017 movie. Let's shift gears with with genres a little bit, and a movie called Annihilation from 2018. A pretty recent movie, Annihilation. This was a sci-fi drama slash thriller, a little bit of psychological horror, but not really horror. So it was definitely sci-fi, definitely drama, a little thriller, some psychological aspects. It stars Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson, Oscar Isaac. Really good cast. Natalie Portman in the lead and Oscar Isaac sort of right there with her. It's based on a sci-fi novel. This movie is not for everyone. And it was actually one of those very polarizing movies. It had a polarizing response from critics and viewers alike. It's very trippy, very weird, but very intriguing. And again, it was very polarizing. It was loved and hated. Critics gave it an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience gave it a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it ended up on a lot of top 10 lists for 2018, including some YouTubers that I trust and that I appreciate. This movie, after I was done watching it, it made me search it out after the movie was over online, just to get a little bit more information on what I just watched, on how it ended. It made me think. And for me personally, that makes me enjoy a movie. I know some people don't like that. Some people don't want these trippy head game movies that make you think and make you wonder, make you ponder, what did I see, what did I watch? So that's not for everyone. But for me, I walked away from it thinking, wow, what did I just see? And had to look into it a little bit, what the book was about, what happened. I needed bigger minds to explain it to me a little better, and it was really unique. So it's one that I'm going to recommend, and go in with a little bit of a warning that you might not get it. You might not like it, but give it a shot. See what you think. It's one of these movies that are worth trying. Okay, next movie. Again, let's shift gears a little bit after a little bit of a head trippy movie. Back to some more lighter fare. A movie called Morning Glory from 2010. This is a comedy, rom-com-ish, a little light drama, but definitely on the comedy side. It stars Rachel McAdams, Diane Keaton, Harrison Ford, Patrick Wilson, Jeff Goldblum in a small role. Really a stellar cast. And it's really, honestly, it's a light movie. It's a very light movie. It's about a fledgling morning news show, like Good Morning America, one of those type of shows. It's just mindless but enjoyable. Best way I can put it, it's a good, bad movie. It's a guilty pleasure kind of movie. I remember I watched it when it came out, and it's nice. It's one of these movies where if I'm home and I'm sick and I'm not feeling well and I don't want to watch an Annihilation type movie or Interstellar, the kind that, really hurts my brain in a good way, and I want something light and easy and fun, I watch Morning Glory. It's a good one. Harrison Ford playing very against type. Diane Keaton is good. Rachel McAdams is outstanding. She has great chemistry with Patrick Wilson, and anything with Jeff Goldblum is always fun. So Morning Glory, some light comedy, a little rom-com in there, but not goofy. It's enjoyable. So check that out. Low expectations. Just a good, bad movie. An enjoyable movie. Next one is a movie that I mentioned in one of our earlier podcasts when we talked about sports movies. This is a movie called The Damn United. The Damn United from 2009. It's a true story, a sports drama movie. It has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I loved this movie. It stars Michael Sheen, English actor, who some people you might not recognize the name, but you immediately recognize the face because he has such a filmography. He was recently in Good Omens. Some people might recognize him from Twilight. Some people might recognize him from The Queen. And he played Tony Blair, the English Prime Minister. He's been in so many things. He has such great range, comedic and drama and period pieces. He really is one of the best actors out there. I love him. And it has a great English cast overall. Okay, what this movie is about, it's the true story. It's a soccer movie, British soccer movie in short, but it's the true story of a famous British soccer manager in the 1970s. Now, I know that's not going to be for everyone, particularly us Americans. We have a love-hate relationship with soccer. It's not baseball or football, basketball, hockey, which we love. Soccer, some of us love, some of us hate, some of us, whatever. But it's just a really good movie that's worth trying. And it's not your typical sports movie. A lot of our sports movies follow the same tropes: the underdog, the overcoming, the Rocky Balboas, the big finish, all that. This takes a different approach where it follows a legendary former soccer player now trying to be a soccer manager. And it's just a really cool movie. Sports fans would like it. People that enjoy British TV and movies would like it. But it's just a good movie that I definitely recommend checking out, The Damn United. Next, I'm going to pair two movies together. Two intense drama movies, two intense sort of, I don't want to say action thrillers. There is action in it. Action kind of brings up a little bit like Die Hard action. No, not like that. More reserved action. But very intense drama thrillers is, I guess, the best way. Two movies. First one, A Walk Among the Tombstones from 2014 with Liam Neeson and David Harbour, Stranger Things, David Harbour. And the second one is a movie called Hell or High Water from 2016 with Chris Pine from Star Trek and Ben Foster, a good character actor, and of course the legendary Jeff Bridges. So let's start with A Walk Among the Tombstones with Liam Neeson. This one's based on a novel, and it's Liam Neeson in his wheelhouse. He's playing a tough, grizzled cop. He's a retired cop who's been pulled into hunting down very scary serial kidnapper murderers. And one of the things that I really like about this movie is our beloved David Harbour, who plays Hopper in Stranger Things that we all just love. And in real life, David Harbour is one of the best human beings you'll ever see. David Harbour plays this super creepy and scary kidnapper and murderer, this serial murderer. He has a partner in it, but David Harbour, this was when he was still a character actor and, you kind of guy whose face you recognize in movies, but he wasn't a big name like Stranger Things made him. And he's really brilliant in this movie and one of the best low-key creepy performances. So it's really just one of these action, intense drama thrillers of, retired cop hunting down bad people. And it was good, surprisingly good. The next one that I mentioned, Hell or High Water, some people might have heard of it. This one was written by a man named Taylor Sheridan, who is the creator, writer, director of the Kevin Costner show Yellowstone that Dan's a big fan of and turned me on to, and I binge watched the first 2 seasons about a month ago and absolutely loved. So Taylor Sheridan, who I'm going to talk about in another upcoming underseen movie gem list, but for now he gets one on here. Hell or High Water, it's basically Chris Pine and Ben Foster. They play bank robbing brothers that are driving all over Texas, robbing banks, basically to pay their bills. And they're being chased by Jeff Bridges, who plays a old, grizzled veteran U.S. Marshal. There are a lot of social themes in this one because it's sort of like Robin Hood bank robbers, where it's these two brothers that are robbing banks, but not out of malice, more because it's in recession era Texas and people are struggling and these guys are having a rough go in life and they're robbing banks to pay their bills, pay their mortgage. Not that we condone that, but it weaves in social themes as to their motivations where we can sort of sympathize a little bit. And it had a slew of Oscar nominations. including Best Picture, which is huge, and Best Screenplay. And Jeff Bridges was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, yet it's one of these huge nominees that nobody sees, that a lot of people didn't see. It's one that I mentioned, a lot of people never even heard of it. So when I watched it, I recommended it to a few people that didn't love it. I watched it. I thought the movie was outstanding. Performances were outstanding. It was a really good movie. It's better than A Walk Among the Tombstones. That's more low key, good. This one was worthy of the Best Picture nomination. So Hell or High Water, I recommend. Okay, so moving on. I keep bouncing from genres to try not to overwhelm you with one particular one, especially the intense ones. So after two intense dramas, I'm going to shift gears to a pure comedy. A movie from 1998, going back a little bit more for this one, called Safe Men. Safe Men. This is a comedy with a stellar cast. And if you notice, some of these movies I recommend, it really is all about the stellar ensemble cast, and this one is an all-star cast. It stars Sam Rockwell, Steve Zahn, Mark Ruffalo, Paul Giamatti, Harvey Fierstein, Michael Lerner, a young Peter Dinklage. Long and short of it, it's a comedy about safecrackers, guys that break in and crack safes. Again, it's a great ensemble cast. A lot of these actors, before they were known, Mark Ruffalo, Sam Rockwell, Peter Dinklage, Paul Giamatti. This was when they were up and coming, starting out. It's a fun performances. It's really like good, cheeky fun, but not over the top, not goofball fun, smart fun. It's got a great 90s vibe. It's not dated 90s. It's great 90s vibe set in 1998. It's a fun, light movie that I remember when it came out. It was one of those small movies. I don't even think it was released in theaters, but it got great reviews. I watched it immediately, absolutely loved it, and I've loved it ever since. I watch it every now and then. So Safe Men, 1998. I really recommend this movie as a fun, light movie, watching some great performances by actors that have gone on to do great things. So, okay, switching gears again, we're going to go to a recent movie from 2018. Maybe the best title of a movie ever. It's called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot. The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot from 2018. I remember when we saw this trailer drop on YouTube, we were all like, what the heck is this? And it started getting shared and went a little viral. Just because that title alone, you're like, what is this? It's actually a Hulu movie. It's on Hulu, so you can find it there. It's a drama, and it stars Sam Elliott, the legendary Sam Elliott. Now, the title, as I said, and the trailer, it made you think that it was going to be some epic, weird, crazy alternate history, because it's as the title says, about a man who killed Hitler and then killed Bigfoot. And I watched it when it came out on video, and it turned out, I'm not going to say anything. And of course, I'm not going to give away plot lines or spoilers, but it turned out to be something totally unexpected and something much deeper and much more intelligent and very much worth watching. So that's all I'm going to say, because the title gives you a pretty intriguing plot line, and I've given you a little bit of a sell on it that it's, it turns out to be deeper and much more intelligent. And Sam Elliott, The Big Lebowski, Tombstone, Mask, a lot of legendary movies he's been in, legendary actor. He's awesome. He gives such a great performance in it. So watching it just for him is worth it. But it's on Hulu. It's a good movie. Again, like a lot of these movies I mentioned, not everybody's going to love it, but I think it's really good. It's just a good drama, good, solid movie. So give it a shot. Okay, switching gears, we now have a horror slasher horror comedy called The Babysitter from 2017. This is a Netflix movie. This is one of their movies, so it's on Netflix. 2017, The Babysitter. It stars an up-and-coming actress who's been in a few things lately, Samara Weaving, the niece of Hugo Weaving from Matrix, Lord of the Rings, legendary actor, and also stars Bella Thorne and Robbie Amell. It's directed by McG, that's his name, McG, who directed Charlie's Angels and the football movie We Are Marshall, a few other things. So The Babysitter, basically it's a really fun, dark slasher comedy. You know, we call it a horror movie, but it's a slasher movie. But it's fun, it's dark comedy, it's well made. Robbie Amell, whose brother plays Arrow on the WB or the CW, whatever it is, and Robbie Amell, who's been in some things himself, he steals the show. He steals every scene that he's in. He's great, but so is everybody else in the cast. This is just a good, fun, funny, dark horror movie, dark slasher movie, black comedy type. So it's worth watching. It's worth checking out. It came out. It's one of these Netflix movies. What Netflix always does. These movies come out. They don't promote them too much. Maybe if you're like us and you see a trailer drop, if you follow Netflix on YouTube, you see the trailer, you think, oh, okay, I like that. It comes out. Maybe you watch it, maybe you don't, and then it sort of disappears. It's the last you ever hear of it. They don't promote it too much on their own platform. So now I'm promoting it because I remember watching it when it came out. I thought it was pretty cool. So The Babysitter. Okay, from 2013, my next recommendation is a movie called Locke, Locke, Locke. This is a really unique movie. It's a drama starring Tom Hardy, played Bane in the Batman movies, who played Mad Max, one of my favorite actors, played Venom. I love Tom Hardy. I think he's awesome. And this movie it's unique. It's really unique. It's an amazing one-man acting clinic. Sort of like Tom Hanks in Castaway. Because what this movie is, and again, this is a movie that's not going to be for everybody, but I think a lot of people, if you haven't seen it, are really going to appreciate it. The whole movie, from start to finish, takes place in a car in the middle of the night that Tom Hardy's character is driving. He's on his way from A to B, and the whole movie is him making phone calls, and the plot unfolds through his dialogue with the people he's calling. And that is not a great sell. I know that. That's not riveting plot, like, oh, the man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot. But a few things. It takes a great actor to pull this off, sort of like Tom Hanks pulled it off in Castaway, being stuck on an island and you're just watching Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks pulled it off in Castaway. Tom Hardy is that level actor who can make it work. He, in his performance, in his dialogue, in the dialogue of the actors and actresses he's speaking to over the phone, some who are famous British actors and actresses, and in their engaging dialogue, sort of like a small play, makes it gripping, makes it engaging, makes it effective. You're riveted by what's taking place, by what's happening in this person's life. He is driving at night, so there's great lighting and great cinematography, so the visuals do help. It's not just some boring, you're watching a guy drive in a car. The visuals, the director and the cinematographer do a great job of visually keeping you engaged, him driving at night and the lighting. And again, Tom Hardy does a great job. There's great dialogue. It's an interesting story. It's a very unique movie that not every director, cinematographer, screenplay writer, and actor can pull off, but this one pulls it off. I know it was recently on some streaming services. That's why it was put back on my radar, but it's definitely worth watching, especially if you're a Tom Hardy fan, which I know a lot of people are. And if you're not, or if you're not really familiar with a lot of his work, go watch it. And you'll see what a great actor he is. Because a lot of us know him from Venom, or the big budget movies, Venom or Mad Max, or The Dark Knight Rises, where he played Bane. And he was great in those, but he's playing, larger than life characters, action movie type. This one is pure drama, and he's wonderful. So recommend that. Okay, this might be a movie that more people have seen than not, but I feel like it's more under the radar. It's a movie, 2010, The Other Guys. Pure comedy, buddy comedy, The Other Guys, starring Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell as a pair of cops, mismatched partners. It also stars Michael Keaton, Eva Mendes, great British actor Stephen Coogan. It is a tremendously underrated buddy cop comedy. I know a lot of people saw it. It's eminently quotable and referenced, and it's outstanding. It's fun. It's funny, and but I do feel like it gets swallowed up with some of these other 2000s comedies like 40-Year-Old Virgin, Step Brothers, movies like that. It's just so funny. It's one of these movies that I rewatch every now and then, and I just keep hitting rewind because it's just so funny. Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton plays the the supervising officer to Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, and he just sort of like Ted Knight steals the movie in Caddyshack from comedy legends like Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Rodney Dangerfield. Michael Keaton does the same. Michael Keaton, who early in his career was more of a comedic actor, he was a stand-up comedian, shows why he is one of the greatest actors of all time, drama and comedy, because he steals every scene that he is in. So watching it just, if you haven't seen it, watching it just for him is outstanding. But Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell as mismatched partners. Mark Wahlberg, the tough guy, Will Ferrell, a little bit more the straight-laced nerd. It's outstanding. It's so funny. And the director is Adam McKay, who is actually Will Ferrell's comedy writing partner. They created the website Funny or Die, and he directed Anchorman. He directed Step Brothers. He directed this movie. He directed both Anchormans. He actually directed the Oscar-nominated movie The Big Short about the financial collapse of the earlier 2000s. So this movie, a lot of people are going to hear this and think, oh, I saw that. But if you haven't, it is worth watching because it is a very underrated comedy classic, The Other Guys. Okay, let's again shift gears from comedy. Let's go more, have a couple of horror thrillers for you. After the Halloween season, I know my last list had a lot of horror thrillers, and I watched some horror thrillers because that's what I love to do during Halloween. A couple didn't make that list, but I had to put them on this list because I watched them and I thought I got to recommend these. The first one is a movie from 2010 called The Crazies. The Crazies. It's a horror thriller. It stars Timothy Olyphant, who I love. Absolutely love Timothy Olyphant. It is a remake of legendary zombie director George Romero. It's a remake of his movie called The Crazies. Right from the beginning, this movie wastes no time. It gets right into everything, and it is a great, very tight, very well-paced movie, sort of like a zombie movie, and I'll say that in quotes. You know, it's zombies have been big for a while, and this is sort of a zombie movie, but it's sort of a zombie movie with a cool parallel side subplot that drives it that most horror or zombie movies don't have. So it kind of has the cool zombie aspect a little bit, but the cool side plot that drives it. It really does make it better than most zombie movies in that aspect. So it's really good. It's not over the top like a World War Z or one of the movies I recommended on my last list, Train to Busan, which is an Asian version of World War Z. So it's 28 Days Later, these Walking Dead, these over-the-top zombie movies. It's not like that, but it is good. It's gripping thriller drama with some of that zombie horror thrown in. Timothy Olyphant, who I just love, the Santa Clarita Diet, lots of other great movies. He's in his absolute wheelhouse as the stoic sheriff, the stoic lawman. So he's really perfect in this. So it's one I recommend. It's really cool. It's not a long movie, but it's just a tight, well-paced, well-put-together movie. The Crazies, 2010. The other horror thriller I'm going to recommend is a movie called 30 Days of Night from 2007. And I hear 2007, I think, wow, is that long ago? But yeah, 30 Days of Night from 2007. It stars Josh Hartnett. It's a vampire movie, and it's based on a horror comic book series. Horror comic book series, graphic novel series. It's set in Barrow, Alaska, and it has this brilliantly great concept of vampires descending on an Alaskan town that plunges into darkness for 30 days. So up way north, up there in Alaska, there's a town, and this is true, that for 30 days it's nighttime because of where it's located. So you think about that, brilliant. How didn't I think of that? How didn't we think of that? That 30 days, a town is in, steeped in darkness at night. Add vampires to that. That's brilliant. So it's got this great concept of vampires going to this town that's, this remote winter town that's cut off from the rest of the world. Stormy 30 days, stormy, no sunshine for 30 days. So 30 days of night. It's pulled off really, really well. It uses this setting of this small, stormy Alaska town perfectly. It's genuinely creepy and not over the top, but creepy, and it has really disturbing vampires that, kind of disturbs you and sets you askew and off kilter a little bit. There are some flaws in the movie, particularly in my opinion in the final act. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but it's not bad. It doesn't ruin it. Josh Hartnett, this was when Josh Hartnett was the hot, young, up-and-coming actor. He was in Sin City, some other things. I thought he was excellent in this. I really, really did. Unfortunately, his career didn't take off. Apparently, in interviews, he has said he was offered the Christian Bale role in The Dark Knight, and he turned it down. And after turning it down, his career didn't take off, and he wasn't offered a lot of stuff. But I've always liked him. I know he had a little bit of a career resurgence in that dark Showtime show that the show name escapes me right now. I can't remember. But he's had a little bit better of a career resurgence. He was excellent in this, is my point. 30 Days of Night. So it's a good Saturday night, middle of winter. It's dark. It's stormy out. It's creepy. It's a little scary. It's a little intense. It's very intense. Great concept. Good supporting cast. 30 Days a Night. I highly recommend this one if you haven't seen it. Okay. My last recommendation. I'm going to end. I just had 2 more intense horror thrillers. I'm going to end on a lighter note with a comedy, a sci-fi comedy. Sort of sci-fi-ish, more comedy. It's a movie called Paul. Paul from 2011. Paul, written by and starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Great comedic duo that I'll talk about in another list, but Simon Pegg from Star Trek, the Mission Impossible movies, a bunch of other things, and his partner Nick Frost. They're in a lot of stuff. It has just this tremendous cast. Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, Jason Bateman, Bill Hader, Sigourney Weaver, Joe Lo from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Wet Hot American Summer and the State comedy troupe. That cast is just perfect. Shouldn't even have to tell you anything more. That cast in and of itself should sell you. It's directed by Greg Mottola, who was very involved in the show Arrested Development that Jason Bateman was in. He was a writer, director for that. He did Superbad. He did Adventureland, a couple of great comedy movies. The gist is this. It's a fun buddy comedy with an alien. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are 2 British guys who come to America for one of these Comic-Con conventions, and they're driving cross-country in a Winnebago, going to check out alien sites across the Midwest where supposed alien ships have been spotted, and that's all I'll say. It's great for the Comic-Con crowd. A lot of us love that. It's Simon Pegg and Nick Frost doing their thing. They are brilliant in their comedies together. Plus, like I said, an amazing ensemble. It's also has great heart to it. It's not just comedy for comedy's sake, which is fine, but it has really good heart to the movie, good relationships, good emotion, but not over the top. So it's got that good. It also combines, it's got great comedy, great heart, but it also has really raunchy comedy, which is just awesome. So it was one of those under the radar movies. I don't even think it was released in theaters. Maybe it was for a short time. I was able to catch it on digital and DVD release in 2011, and I love it. This movie is outstanding. I watch it once a year maybe, and I always get a little something different from it. So a movie called Paul. It's a good, light, fun, raunchy, good-hearted comedy movie, sci-fi, aliens, Great ensemble, all of it. It's one I highly recommend. So there's my list. We got let's run through it again. Brick, a good noir mystery, all nighter, a good buddy comedy, Annihilation, great head trippy sci-fi drama thriller, Morning Glory, a great comedy rom-com type, The Damn United, a true sports story drama. We got two intense dramas, A Walk Among the Tombstones and Hell or High Water, a good pure fun comedy and Safe Men, The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot, an interesting and unique drama, The Babysitter, a horror slasher comedy, Locke, a great one-man drama show, The Other Guys, a very underrated comedy classic, The Crazies, a remake of a horror thriller, 30 Days of Night, a great vampire horror thriller, and finally, Paul, a great sci-fi comedy, brilliant comedy. So that's my list as of now of great underseen, underrated movie recommendations that you, our listeners, should check out. I got a good amount of feedback from my last movie recommendation list, and it was a good affirmation for me that I watch a ton of movies. I watch all movies all the time, and part of me was thinking, well, everybody has seen these movies, but no, a lot of people, there was a lot of feedback saying, I didn't see any of those movies. I'd heard of most of them, but I'd never seen them. So I'll keep doing this because it has been pointed out to me that, yeah, they are underseen movies. From last month's list, I went and rewatched What We Do in the Shadows. Rewatched that, and I love it. That was the one that a lot of people said that they had always meant to see. I also rewatched a few times, both on my own and with family, Hot Tub Time Machine. I actually just texted Dan right before this podcast recording a quote from Hot Tub Time Machine. So I'm curious which ones I'm now, because as I talk about these movies, I get excited and remember why I love them. And so a few of these, I'm sure I'll go back and say, yeah, now I want to watch them too. So I'm curious which ones you were interested in and now are going to make it a point to watch, and then which ones you do watch and you like, and let me know what you think. So that being said, I hope you enjoy these movies, and thank you for listening, and I wish you good fortune in the wars to come. All right, peace out, everybody.